Memory RAM. It's called memory circuits to store and retrieve information. In a broader sense, can also refer to external storage such as disk drives or type drives. Random access memory, or RAM, is the semiconductor-based memory that can be read and written by the microprocessor or other hardware devices. Access to storage positions can be performed in any order. The memory chips are small rectangles that are usually black, soldered in groups to a chip with pins or contacts. The difference between RAM and other memory storage such as floppy disks or hard drives is that RAM is much faster and is cleared by turning off the computer, not like these. The interior of each chip can be imagined as a matrix or table in which each cell can store one bit. Therefore, a bit can be reached directly by providing a row and a column of a table. In fact, the CPU identifies each cell by a number called memory address. From an address is calculated which is the row and column so that you can now access the desired cell. The access is done in two steps, first row and then announces the column using the same terminals. Obviously, this technique called multiplexing allows use less terminals to access the RAM, which optimizes the relationship between chip sizes and storage capacity. Actually, the CPU does not usually work with the independent bits, but rather groups of them in the form of binary words. This means that the RAM is not present in a single chip, but rather groups of them. For example, a group of 8 chips, each capable of storing X bits, together provide X KB. The memory continues to be real electronic circuit and therefore is exposed to effects that can cause errors in content. In other words, after typing a word into a memory location is perfectly possible that some bit changes state during the time period of storage. If you access the memory again to read the word, recover misinformation, and this can lead to all sorts of consequences. This will often use two solutions, technically parity and ECC, error correction code. The element that implements these methods is inside the computer and called the memory controller. The parity is to add an additional bit to each word, which makes the number of ones is odd or even, as used the even or odd parity. When reading data from memory, parity bit disagrees with the number of ones, it has detected an error. The system adds a set of ECC bits to store each word. The advantage is to detect multi-bit errors and is also able to correct these errors. These techniques involve adding extra bits and therefore will impact the amount of memory built into each module. Characteristics of main memory RAM. A memory system can be classified based on very different characteristics. Among them we highlight the following: location of memory capacity, access method, and access speed. In the case of the RAM, also called primary or main memory, can perform the following classification. Access method. RAM is random access memory. This means that a word or byte can be found directly without taking into account the byte stored before or after the word, as opposed to the memories on tape, which require sequential access. In addition, the RAM allows access to reading and writing information. Access speed. Currently, you can find systems capable of RAM transfers at frequencies on the order of Gbps, gigabits per second. It is also important to note that RAM is volatile memory, i.e. requires power to keep the information. In other words, the RAM loses all information of the computer. Just keep in mind that this memory is what makes the programs running and open. Just keep in mind that this memory is what keeps programs running and open. So when Windows 95, 98, and E200, 2000, a multitasking operation system, we are at the mercy of the amount of RAM you have provided in computer. Today we have as much of it as we are subject to running faster or slower than our daily applications. RAM a few years ago was very expensive, but today its price has dropped considerably. When someone asks how much RAM you need to be weighed against what programs will work normally. If only one will work with word processing applications, spreadsheets, and the like will suffice to about 32 megabytes of it. Although this figure has been quite short, but working with multimedia, photography, video, or CAD, for instance, we have the maximum amount of RAM in our team, 128 through 256 megabytes or more, for its optimum performance, as the programs are real memory hogs. To date, it is advisable to have less than 64 megabytes for the proper functioning of both Windows as normal applications. You'll notice considerably since its speed and performance, as teams usually bring current and 128 megabytes or 256 megabytes of RAM. According to the types of connectors that carry the memory, all these are called modules, and these in turn are divided into SIM, Single Inline Memory Module, a small printed circuit board with several integrated memory chips. They are made with different access speeds capabilities, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64 megabytes, and are 30 or 72 contacts. Usually are mounted in pairs. Then they are elongated, have 168 contacts, and carry 2 notches to facilitate proper placement. One can be mounted to one.